Barış Arduç and Elçin Sangu just sent the entertainment pages into a frenzy again, and this time the spark didn't come from a set rumor or a leaked scene. It came from a single, measured sentence spoken with warmth and certainty. Welcome to Turkish series stars. Before we dive in, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of the moments everyone will be talking about tomorrow. Because today, the conversation circles back to a duo who first captured hearts years ago and somehow keep doing it with nothing more than genuine affection and dignified calm. The pair who turned millions into loyal fans during the Karalık era are on everyone's lips once more. Not because of a scripted kiss or a carefully staged photo, but because Elçin Sangu spoke about Barış Arduç in a way that felt deeply personal and unmistakably real. In a recent chat, Elçin was asked about her relationship with Barış, and she didn't deflect, giggle, or chase headlines. She took a breath and let her feelings land. We fit each other. We know what we want, we stand behind each other's choices, and we try to protect our peace. I hope it always stays like this. The line ricocheted through social media and found a home in thousands of comments celebrating her poise. It sounded less like a publicity soundbite and more like a window into a partnership built quietly, brick by brick. Behind that soft-spoken sentence lies a long story. Their connection didn't sprout overnight, and it didn't need scandal to grow. It began years ago under hot set lights, where they learned each other's rhythms and found a cadence that made scenes feel alive. Back then, audiences noticed the spark on screen, but insiders saw something else entirely. A respectful rapport, a professional understanding, and an ease that turns long hours into a shared mission. Those early days were full of call times, retakes, and whispered jokes between setups, the sort of memories that shape a bond only colleagues understand. Fans still share clips from that period with wistful captions, remembering that unique chemistry that once startled an entire TV season. Through it all, Elçin described Barış in distinctly human terms. Not a caricature, not a headline, but a person she knew well, hardworking, grounded, direct. Over the years she has echoed the same refrain: he is clear-eyed about the job, gentle off-camera, and sincere in a field where sincerity is rare. He's consistent, she said more than once in different words, and consistency is a difficult quality to fake. When you build trust slowly, publicly, transparently, you don't need to shout for anyone to hear you. There are moments in this industry when a single remark tilts the entire conversation. Elçin's quiet declaration, "We fit each other," became one of those moments. It slid past the rumor mill's louder gears and went straight to the feeds, the comment threads, the fan pages. People didn't repeat it because it was sensational, they repeated it because it felt like an antidote to sensationalism. It signaled the kind of confidence that doesn't step on anyone else to stand tall. As one comment read, "This is what it looks like when two people choose each other every day." Another said, "Support over noise," and that phrasing stuck, traveling far beyond the initial post. From setmates to something more, their story carved out a different path. The show that introduced them was a cultural moment, a machine that broke records and elevated expectations, but what remained after the lights dimmed was not a title in the ratings, it was connection. They moved on to new scripts, new cities, new teams, but a thread held. Schedules bent, the rhythm changed, the bond did not. Over time, what began as professional trust widened into a resilient companionship and then into the partnership you now see, measured, grown up, uninterested in theatrics. When big milestones rolled around, the gestures were never flashy, they were simply there. At premieres, he stood out of frame, letting her take the applause. When his project launched, she arrived without fanfare, early and quiet, ready to smile when cameras turned and sketch into the background when they didn't. Those appearances said more than any viral clip could say, presence is proof. They kept the noise down, not out of secrecy, but out of respect for the work that anchors both of them. And then came the chapter that everyone in the press seems most curious about, what their private balance looks like now that the public is watching closely. From the moment the two stepped forward as a couple, they resisted the traps that swallow so many others. There weren't daily posts designed to feed the machine. No competing statements, no coded barbs. Just a steady line of shared, ordinary moments. If there was a photo, it was simple. If there was a caption, it was brief. The restraint wasn't coldness, it was a choice. When Elçin described them as well-matched, it didn't sound like a slogan. It sounded like careful thought. She was speaking about a man she respects as a colleague and trusts as a partner, and she was naming what they've built, equilibrium. What made her words echo loudly is how rare they are in a landscape that often feeds off envy, detours, and half-hearted replies. Instead of hedging or dodging, she placed her hand firmly on the scale in favor of candor. The response was immediate. Editors praised the clarity. Fans pointed out the grace. People who don't even follow the day-to-day of Turkish television admired the restraint. Comment after comment said the same thing in different ways. It is possible to be both visible and dignified, famous and private, affectionate and calm. Of course, that public statement didn't appear out of nowhere. If you follow Elçin long enough, you recognize a pattern in how she navigates the spotlight. Her words about colleagues have always been tidy, thoughtful, never designed to inflame. She has built a reputation for measured honesty, and this moment was a natural continuation of that line. Consistency breeds trust, trust transforms a sentence into a statement. Their friendship-turned-partnership hasn't had a free pass through time. Different productions called, distances widened, projects demanded. And yet, the line held. Notes were sent across cities. Silence was honored when it was needed. Support showed up even when the cameras didn't. In an industry that often confuses performative closeness with the real thing, they offered something quieter and more enduring, mutual regard. When he spoke about her, he lifted the craft they share. When she spoke about him, she named the person behind the name. Even during the New Year stretch, when the entire business tends to stage-manage sparkly declarations, their approach remained the same. They shared a handful of stills. Nothing extravagant, just soft light, winter edges, familiar faces. The images did what images do, they invited conversation. But the temperature of that conversation shifted when Elçin added a few words under one picture, a line that mirrored her earlier interview without repeating it, "Steady is beautiful." The phrase raced through feeds and made its way onto the pages that normally thrive on upheaval. And then Barış responded later that night with a sentence that felt like an echo and an answer, "Here's to keeping it steady." Suddenly, the narrative wasn't chaos. It was calm. Look closer at what those exchanges highlight, and you notice how much space they make for respect, especially for the woman at the center of it. Public life has a way of flattening people into headlines. Yet in every corner of this story, Elçin refuses to be flattened. She is a performer with clear aims, a person with boundaries, and a partner who chooses balance over spectacle. When the talk gets loud, she gets precise. When the calendar fills up, she turns back to the work. On set, crew members mention how she keeps the mood light without losing focus. Off set, friends describe a circle carefully chosen and fiercely protected. If the gossip world needs a new definition of poise, they just found one. Put the pieces together, friendship, love, balance. And a picture emerges that isn't easy to maintain under bright lights. Yet somehow, they've created a model that holds. The friendship that gave them a sturdy foundation didn't vanish once the romance stepped in. It grew. The love that followed didn't trample the independence of either person. It learned to share space. The balance they talk about isn't abstract, it's made of daily choices. Tiny, unglamorous decisions that accumulate into a life. That's why one simple sentence traveled so far. In a place where sweeping claims come cheap and burn out quickly, a quiet statement of fit and fidelity felt like news. It wasn't a headline designed to explode and disappear, it was a seed that promised to stay alive long after the post-scrolling ended. In the weeks since, people continue to reference it when discussing what makes a partnership look mature. Journalists cite it as an example of a rare tone, neither coy nor performative, but open. Fans use it as shorthand in comment threads. They fit. End of story. And yet, the story continues. Every set photo, every premiere, every pause between projects adds a line to this ongoing chapter. When questions come, because they always do, the answers remain consistent. No vague provocations, no strategic mystery. Just two people choosing to speak well of each other and choosing to show up. The industry may try to bend that into a bigger narrative, but sometimes the truth is smaller and better. You don't need to broadcast if you live it. It helps that the admiration moves both ways. After Elçin's remarks took off, Barış was asked whether he agreed with her take on their shared rhythm. He smiled in that understated way that longtime watchers recognize and said, "I feel the same." It wasn't dramatic, it didn't have to be. In 4 words, he validated her point and added one of his own, that partnership can be a chorus instead of a solo. The 2 lines now circulate together, hers and his, completing a picture that seems to resist the usual distortions. Maybe that's why audiences respond so strongly to them even now. Years after that first wave of on-screen magic, the aura hasn't faded, it has changed shape. It's moved from imagined stories to real-life conscience. From a script's timing to the timing of 2 people learning to protect what matters. And isn't that what everyone hopes for, that the spark of a beginning grows into a warmth you can actually live inside? So here we are again, talking about a single sentence that somehow says everything. A sentence that turned the spotlight into a softer light. A sentence that took a relationship out of the rumor economy and placed it in the realm of example. In a scene that often rewards the loudest voice, this one whisper got heard most clearly. Because it came from experience. It came from earned trust. It came from a place that doesn't always get visibility, maturity. If you were waiting for the twist where envy creeps in or where competing schedules create a fracture, you'll keep waiting. So far, the story reads differently. Friendship didn't end when the credits rolled. Love didn't erase the friendship. And balance didn't arrive as a slogan, it was built as a practice. Perhaps that's the secret, no secret at all, just intention. Tell us what you think. What does true friendship look like when it outlasts a set and outgrows a script? Drop your answer below, and if you're new here, subscribe to Turkish Series Stars for more stories from the heart of the celebrity world. We'll be back soon with the moments that matter, sharp, sincere, and unforgettable.